Hey guys. So I noticed something. I I was using previously in my phone just now when I was attempting to record, and the lighting is a lot better. It's like 1,000% better on there. This is like my crappy laptop thing, but I have like separately for my like music stuff. I have a desktop, and then my laptop is supposed to be like different for business type stuff, and then my desktop is for like music and art and photographs and that type of thing, because I'm headed into a lot of different things that I haven't all the way disclosed yet, which I plan on disclosing in the future. um so won't be sharing my paintings today or whatever. I won't be like product reviewing, although I did recently order some things via Facebook recently, but I'll do that next time at the very beginning, like I plan to do on my I'll do that later on this evening in my other vlog if I record for for no labels this evening. But yeah, I haven't posted here in Spectrum Support for a while because I've been kind of like uninspired on what to actually like discuss. What to actually discuss? Howie, calm it down, please. Thank you. Anyways, so, um, I feel like this topic, that inspired me. Okay, so first of all, what inspired me was last night when I was scrolling through Facebook. I had started following this guy that was like a psychologist slash therapist for autism specifically, and ADHD, and he was talking about this topic that I feel like is pretty controversial because I saw like all the comments and stuff like that. People were being kind of like, some people were being pretty understanding to the point of like enabling this trait in autism, like being enablers. And then the other side of it was like being really negative, like, okay, so we're just enabling this behavior. Like, it's not a behavior. It's something like, it's not just a behavior. It is not just a trigger. It's something, it's a part in their brain that actually, it's like, because it's a social emotional disorder or whatever. And disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm none of those things that could diagnose people, and I don't have a license to treat people or whatever. Okay, so moving on. It is not just a trigger or like something that can be that, yes, you can use coping skills to try to like further yourself along, like past the reactions of this, but it's not simply a behavior. It's like, because autism is a social emotional like divergence, like a difference between you and other people, and that starts in your brain. Like I think the cognitive part, it affects a lot of the parts of a lot of different parts in your brain, you know, where I guess people would say, like, just to explain it vaguely, like the wires are crossed or whatever. So it happens in the part of your brain where you're trying to take, where average developed people just take direction, like get that pencil for me. It's like a struggle for people with autism to process that information, so it then creates anxiety, yada yada yada. So so like they developed a oh, okay, so like the what I was noticing is, for people with autism, this is kind of like viewed on an outward scale as like rebelliousness, and so that's why people get upset and frustrated with it. They're like, okay, they're getting frustrated with people that are having a difficult time achieving this. And so like my approach is like to take away the like not taking things personally, you know what I mean? And then to try to tackle it in a proactive manner from there, because I've had a lot of success doing that, like with my son. So the demand avoidance has actually been the cause of several fits, like in my home with my son. And what is it? Like, what is, because they developed a PDA profile. And what is a PDA profile? Um, so psychologists and stuff like that, and doctors or whatever, have developed. And it's not public display of affection like one would possibly think. It is actually pathological demand avoidance. And if you think of pathological is like pathological liar or whatever. Like it's sort of like something that you do that you're just like not aware of anymore, or that you're, that just is not just like a habit, but it's like deeply engraved in you. So pathological demand is like, when somebody is telling you to do something. Avoidance, like it just pathologically you're avoiding direction. So on this scale that they developed, it's called the PDA profile. The bottom is, like a normal level where when being directed to do something, you're like calm and able. Moving up from that, you're like increasing anxiety as it goes on. Kind of like the food pyramid, or like Maslow's hierarchy pyramid or whatever. It's like a triangle. So the bottom part being calm and able, slowly increasing. Hey, Howie, away from my door, please. Watch Coco Melon. I'll be about 20 minutes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Alright. So, it just like slowly increases to, like, increases in the amount of anxiety that you have. So, starting from calm and able, you're increasing to like them displaying distraction. They're trying to distract you, making excuses. They're procrastinating, or like what do you call it? Procrastinating, or like taking a sweet ass time, basically, doing the thing that you asked them to do. Which again, it's oftentimes mistaken for being rebellious. So like moving up from there would be like to the point of anxiety where they're like actually physically incapacitated. So the definition for physically incapacitated is like, this is complete inability that stems from your brain. Once again, on this level, you can't complete tasks required of you because you're just like sort of checked out or whatever. Or you lose the physical strength and you're just like stuck there for a second. And you're like, what am I doing again? So the next level would be like a lot of anxiety, but you just like do what it is that they're telling you to do in a super anxious manner. But later, or at that time, maybe either later on, like 30 minutes later, an hour later, or whatever, your brain is like having difficulty processing the fact that you took this direction and it didn't want to, or whatever. But like, you could either be completely compliant in the moment and then later on have a meltdown, or they could have like a meltdown right then and there because they're like upset right then and there, which is actually probably the better one of the two, like in my opinion. But because like later you're like, what's going on? Like you don't connect it to the direction that you just gave and them, being upset about it. The next level of having anxiety in this PDA scale is like, you might be upset and be agitated, or it might like really upset and it's like visible. It might include self-harm, like any form of self-harm, like biting yourself, or like throwing things or whatever. A complete shutdown, or like aggression, doing something aggressive, or you could like run away, which at this point, that's like the highest level. In neurotypical people, or like average developed people, so like this is considered the like fight, flight, or freeze zone in the brain, right? But the only difference, right, is for like neurodivergent kids or people. This can happen with just feeling like with smaller things, you know, like or things that are considered smaller per the typical neurotypical person, right? Howie, Howard, Howard, watch Coco Melon. So, anyways, yeah, he's getting on my nerves right now. I'm probably finna end this here in a little bit, but get away from my door, please. Unless you want to be grounded. Hey, you can be grounded. Anyways, so like for the neurodivergent person, this can happen with like small tasks, like all throughout the day, like small things. Being asked to like pick up this pencil, being asked to pick up something that you dropped on the ground or something like that. It's like every single thing. Whereas like with neurotypical people, it's like it has to be something bigger in order to trigger this, or like a bunch of stuff added up. So feeling this is like just with feeling pushed towards compliance, which this would like understandably interfere with everyday life. You know what I mean? This is why the routine is so important with neurodivergent people, which is people with autism. The routine is so important because like once they get the hang of it and they already know what's expected, it becomes less of something that their brain has to just think of out of the blue. That's why it's like really important to have like the routine memorized and stuff like that, because you're just like, oh, okay. But until that routine is in place for them, that is like stressful, and it feels their brain is accepting this new thing that you're adding as like as a demand, and so they have demand avoidance all the way up until a routine is built. So that's what my first vlog was about, if you remember. But so like so okay, so this is often viewed, like I've already said, in neurodivergent people and people with autism, or like ADHD, autism, neurodivergent, neurotypical, average developed people. Okay, remember that. So, demand avoidance is not rebelliousness. This is an actual part of their brain that is like genetically different, or I don't know if I want to use the word genetically because that's probably not accurate. It's like physically different than the average person's brain. So if you think about this, autism and being neurodivergent is like an emotional social disorder as well as a sensory disorder. So touch, taste, sight, smell, hearing, all these things are like attached to your brain, right? Like your spinal cord, everything's attached to your brain. But the way that you see, smell, taste, hear, touch, your brain senses it all differently than the neurotypical person. So like it processes it differently, as well as your emotions in response to those senses. So the way that you perceive something is going to be completely different than the way that a neurotypical person would perceive it. You know? So like the way that an autistic person describes something that they're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting is going to differ in totality to a neurotypical person. It's not gonna sound right or seem right because it's through their perspective, because it starts from their senses, and their senses is what triggers their like emotions. And so that's why those two things, a sensory disorder and a social emotional disorder, they're linked together, because your emotions are your response, is your reaction to all of your five senses. Which, yeah. So anyway, the solutions that I've come up with, though, I feel like are pretty good. Um, like, honestly, I don't enjoy being demanded anyway. Demand avoidance, because that was our topic. So like, instead of making it a demand most times, I go into introducing new activities. Like, he makes his bed, he takes out his trash. He just recently started taking out his trash. So like, I try to make it positive and be like, hey buddy, can you help me do this, please? And then, I'm like asking him for his help and making it be a positive thing. Instead of me saying like, because some days I have like off days, everybody does. So I'll be like, do this, do that, go do this. Like, the way that I'm saying it, the tone that I'm saying it in. And like, when he does it, when he starts doing it, I try to immediately give him praise before he starts whining and having that reaction to his demand avoidance goes off. Before he does that, I say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's awesome. You're doing a great job, But like, if the whining starts, you know what I'm saying, and it's kind of like that, he does that, I'll be like, I try to interrupt it and pretend like I don't hear it. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's so helpful. You're doing such a great job. And I say it with a smile. You know what I'm saying? And then, so yeah, like, when he sees me, he stops normally and he looks at me and I'll be like, oh, she likes this, because he likes praise and being encouraged. And yes, I do still discipline, you know what I'm saying? Like he was grounded before spring break started, like the weekend that spring break started, because he acted out in school like on a Friday. So he's grounded Saturday and Sunday in result of that. But I'm talking about since Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, today. Like, he's doing pretty decent, but he did get like kind of fussed at this morning or sent to his room for a little bit, but it wasn't like such a big deal. So I just had him be in there for like 20-30 minutes. But when he acts out at school, because I have to work and stuff like that, or I have things I have to do, he gets in trouble normally for the full day. If it happens over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, so that he concretely remembers it Monday. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but the thing that I started doing with demand avoidance is, like, since that's a reason for like several of the fits that we had initially, because he does not like being introduced to new things during his day, which, like, taking out his trash, he was like, at first, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're doing such a good job, thank you so much for helping me, like, talking over the whining. And he was like, what? At first, and he was like, oh, she's happy I'm helping her, you know what I mean? So then, as I started adding on little things by little things, like having him, like, before bed at nighttime, after he takes a bath, he, like, first had to, like, I showed him how to put his shoes up in a shoe organizer. I just showed him, like, one task at a time, and I just add on one task until he gets it down. And then I'll, like, put his clothes in the dirty clothes. But now he takes his shoes off. He puts them in the shoe organizer. He also puts his clothes in his laundry hamper in his bedroom. He takes the pull-up or whatever and puts it in a trash can. Normally there's nothing in it, but still, like, he changes it because we want to wear a different one, before bed and stuff. And then, so, like, he gets everything of his off the floor. He knows how to brush his own teeth. That was something frustrating, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're doing such a great job. Every single time I was introducing something new. So now he sort of started associating each new task, because I did that gradually, only adding one task at a time to the routine until he got that task down. And then I would, like, give praise. Since he got so used to the praise, he just, every time he completes a task, he'll just look at me to see if I'm going to make a smiling face or if I'm going to say something nice. And then he gets, like, really excited because I'm happy about it. So I feel like that was really helpful. And I'll be like, will you please help me? And every time, that's a sign for help. And when every time I start to like ask him for help, he's just always really excited. Well, not always, but normally, unless the task is like super strenuous, um, he is not a fan of washing his own clothes. He likes to put them in there. He doesn't like to arrange them in an even manner. But we're getting there. Like little tasks eventually can build up to be like one longer task. You know what I mean? But I just thought that that was something interesting to talk about because I feel like that could be like labeled as, like I said, rebelliousness, and that sometimes I guess that makes like a lot of people have like dislike towards people with autism, and you might not even know someone has autism. You know what I'm saying? You can't all the time recognize the signs of it. So I just wanted to like because I don't feel like that guy fully got into the amount of depth that I wanted to get into when I was choosing to discuss it. So I just thought I would dig a little bit deeper in depth as far as my own like personal experiences with it and what I do to try to help him with that so that he starts learning um to to accept commands. But yeah, like I said, sometimes my tone can be off and I'll forget and I'll be like, go do this please, and he'll be like, ugh! Like he'll still do it, but he'll be like whining the whole time while he's doing it and like stomping his feet on the ground or whatever. So I just wanted to add something helpful to my spectrum support vlog because I really do like this vlog. I'm just gonna have to start following more people to like, how you need like inspiration and whatnot. Like, not copying off of people, but just taking little things here and there and like, oh, I could go into more detail on that, or adding your own thing with it. But yeah, like that's my main purpose of this vlog, is to be very helpful toward people with loved ones that are on the spectrum. That was my whole point in making this. But yeah, like if you guys have any interesting topics that you want to ask about or talk about, you can always like comment in my comment section. And like I said, later on, if I post in my other vlog, which is no labels, then I will come a little bit more prepared and do my product review that I'm supposed to do initially, and yeah, just maybe share another painting with you guys. But yeah, I hope y'all have a great weekend, and yeah, I think that's just about all I had to talk about today. So I hope y'all have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your spring break. I'll see you next time.